the BS Show.
And now, here's your host.
Good evening, and welcome to the BS Show. I'm your stand-up host, Dana Nelson, standing up for last week's host, Curt, who was unfortunately committed to detox earlier this afternoon. We have a great show tonight that we kind of slapped together. Our guest, Adolph Eatrek, inventor of the 8-track tape. So without further ado, we'll take a commercial break, and we'll be right back with Adolph.
In 1965, the Surgeon General established a warning in all cigarette packages saying that cigarette smoking is hazardous to your health. Well, who cares? Everywhere I go, you people are against smokers and establishing non-smoking areas. Well, it doesn't matter down here if you smoke or not. You can smoke anywhere you want also. And if you think smoking causes lung cancer, don't worry about it. That doesn't matter down here either.
Oh, welcome back again to the BS Show. My guest with me tonight is Adolph Eatrek, inventor of the 8-track tape. Good evening, Adolph.
Hi.
Glad you could be with us on the BS Show.
So am I.
How are you doing this evening?
Quite well. I've been working on some new things. We'll probably talk about that later, but I'm in good shape for the failure I've seen.
What brings you to Fargo Moorhead, Adolph?
You know, I'm just kind of on a nationwide kind of a tour. I'm seeing how my certain new ideas are appealing to people around the country, and seeing what kind of reaction I can get for maybe marketing some of my new ideas.
What is a day in the life of the inventor of the 8-track tape like?
Very, very easy, as a matter of fact.
Very easy.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that a little?
Okay. Typical day. I get up at about 12:30 in the afternoon and mix up probably, I don't know, cereal, bologna sandwiches, whatever's around.
Mm-hmm.
Then I might be motivated enough to check out my workshop, see what's lying around, fool around with some nuts and bolts and things. And by then it's about 3 o'clock, and it's time for lunch. 3 o'clock is usually when I have my little lunch. And I don't know, it usually doesn't consist of much, maybe a little soup. It's back down to the workshop for at least another 20 minutes, fooling around with more nuts and bolts, and then it's supper time.
So you put in a hell of a good 40-minute day then, down in that workshop.
Yeah, at least. But, you know, with the downfall of the product, what are you going to do?
Let's talk about that, the 8-track tape. Kind of a joke to all the audio people out there. Sorry, Adolph.
Well,
why the 8-track? What spawned this? You had a unbelievable success there for a couple of years. I mean, Votekers right and left were buying your 8-track players.
That's right. Votekers were the one.
Why?
Who were my mainstay as far as where tomorrow's dinner's coming from.
Where tomorrow's 3 o'clock lunch.
That's right. Which usually consists of just soup or something. No.
Maybe a bologna sandwich.
Maybe, if it's around the house. What was the question?
I almost forgot myself. No, the question, I guess,
sounded
why the 8-track?
The 8-track.
How did it come about, and how did it bomb?
Well, what I was striving for, it did bomb, by the way. What I was striving
for... Don't be embarrassed,
for
Adolph.
Initially is a new type of portable music. Something that the kids could carry around, you know, and enjoy their music wherever they went, be it on the freeways of California to, you know, the back roads of North Dakota, where you'll find most of my machines right now.
Sounds like you've been everywhere, man. No.
Well,
let's get poetic.
The people really bought it up initially. They enjoyed the new portability of the music, but somehow something went amiss. And I haven't quite gotten it pinpointed yet, but I do have some ideas. Actually, it was just the mobility of the music that I was striving for, and the idea of 8 tracks.
I was going to ask you that. What about are there actually 8 tracks? Come on, a little piece of tape. 8 tracks, or is it kind of a pun on your name, Adolph Eatrek?
It's a compromise, actually. It's
Inventor's compromise?
I could have gotten by with 3.5 tracks. You know, it's possible. I could have done that.
That is a clumsy word.
3.5. It doesn't sound good.
You have any
you know?
3.5 track cassette decks?
Exactly.
Oh, cassette.
Exactly. You're walking through the store and you go, 3.5 track tapes. Who wants it? You know. And so I started looking very closely at my last name, and it said 8 track, and I just thought, wow, if I could integrate these 8 tracks into a form of musical enjoyment, and you know, using my name as a basis for calling it that, you know, just kind of a unifying name.
Let's try and see if I can get myself lost in the technical aspects of the 8-track.
Technically, they're very interesting. What would you like to know?
Put me on the spot. I'm supposed to be the interviewer. Well, I see you brought along a couple of examples.
Yeah, I did.
Maybe you could kind of show me how they work and what
Okay.
the principles are behind them without getting into a lot of diode talk.
I don't like diode talk either.
You're a nuts and bolts man. Huh?
That's right. Now, see, this is what people would call the generic car model.
There again, I see
Of
the
8-track.
stereo 8.
Stereo 8. That's the first part of my name. It's kind of it's kind of a shady deal with this company, whoever made this one, because they didn't include the last part of my name. And you know, I've gotten in some legal trouble with that. Okay. Basically, the tape just slides in here. You see, if you look very closely in there, you see that?
See that out there in television land?
See that? There are 2...
Right in there?
Yeah, right in there.
I think
If
I
you
found
can-
it.
Right in there
Can anybody
somewhere.
else see that?
You see that? Okay.
Maybe not.
Well, in there are 8 little things that that read the tracks.
What is a track? Is it something you go on Sunday afternoon to bet, you know, on horses? What's this track thing?
That's
I
another
guess
one
I'm
of
not
my-
an audio whiz.
Well, it's funny you should bring up the thing about the races, the track, because that's a whole different chapter in my big failure story. Anyway, a track actually ends up to be a series of electromagnetic particles that on of course the recording tape, which are arranged at well, it all depends if it's a legal record company, or else if the people are reproducing these tapes illegally. That's where it all starts. The particles are arranged on the tape in a certain manner so that when it is played back in one of these machines, it no doubtedly will be very distorted and sound really bad.
That leaves me speechless. Why would you create something that has such a poor track record, pardon the pun, with eating tapes, distorted sound, as you said, and actually a very short lifetime of the actual tapes that are used? Why?
See, now, I think it's more of a problem with the user rather than I, the inventor. Because people who are using these tapes have generally little respect for life. Do you know what I mean? The kind of people who are buying my tapes would think nothing of, let's say, trashing a Boy Scout, you know?
You're not serious.
Research has shown. And,
he has the stats to prove it.
you know, sure, these people who buy these tapes, they're going to get mad eventually, you know, over something. They're probably drinking beer in the car listening to the 8-track, you know? And all of a sudden somebody will get mad. They'll pull it out and they'll throw it at their friends. They leave it on the floor. They get walked on. People spill...
What disrespect.
Total disrespect for the product. See, and I believe that's where the fault lies, not in the fault of me, myself, for having produced a essentially bad product.
I wanted to ask you something, slightly changing the subject. It's about something I read in the National Enquirer concerning you, Adolph Eatrek,
Oh, yes.
and Ralph Cassette,
Oh, yes.
inventor of the
Ralph.
cassette tape.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Enquirer said that there was kind of a strong verbal argument which turned into fisticuffs.
Well, we've had our our disagreements, of course, because Ralph thinks his product's a lot better than mine. And we...
Isn't it?
Research has not shown that at all. Ralph has a tendency, you know, we used to go to school together. We're from the same Inventor school,
Oh, I see.
New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Have
New
you ever heard
Jersey Inventor School?
Yes.
Oh,
You ever heard of it?
I've read lots about that.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're familiar with the surroundings. Ralph and I have had a rivalry, you know, since, oh gosh, when was it? 1963, I believe it was. With our products, our different theories of the recording process and, of course, marketing the recorded material. We've had our strong differences, and I've always maintained that the 8-track, by sheer size of the tape, you know, it's a lot larger than the recording tape in a cassette. The 8-track reproduces much more clearly because it has more, you know, vertical distance on the recording tape. Ralph doesn't seem to think so. Rather than working with 8 tracks, he just works with 2 in one long string. You know, who knows?
It's almost kind of a rip-off from the old Richard reel-to-reel
That's right.
audio thing, which we've had to reel-to-reel tapes for years. But
Thanks,
back to the
thanks to the late Richard.
back to the altercation. Did it come to blows?
One time it nearly did.
So the Enquirer was wrong, is what you're saying?
We never actually beat each other, but it did come to I don't know if, well, see, I'm thinking of the legal aspects of this. I mean, we are on television, aren't we?
Yeah, sure.
By the way, what's with this cheap set?
Well, we kind of on a tight budget, and there's a lot of shows that go on in this same studio every day.
How many
23
shows? 23 shows go
Yeah.
on in this studio a day?
So we're gonna kind of be wrapping it up pretty soon. But no, you could keep talking.
Lord, man, it's just an atrocity.
I wanted to ask you kind of a final series of questions, a barrage, if you will. Now I gapped my... No, really, I'm just kidding. I wanted to ask you what is coming up for you in your life. What are some new inventions, new things you're doing? Because, as you know, a justification to be on the BS show is that you are a budding star. So, what's budding, buddy?
That's very clever. Ever since the 8-track failed, I've always, of course, been looking for new avenues of income, as most people are. I've been doing a lot of work now with stereo food.
Stereo food.
Stereo food smells.
Could you explain that in 45 seconds or less?
Probably not.
How about a Reader's Digest condensed version?
The condensed version?
Sorry, everybody.
Okay.
Hey, I'm a stand-in host.
Stereo food smells are interesting because it's being used a lot in theaters where smells are used to motivate people to buy certain types of foods. It's catching on.
I see. Well, thank you very much, Adolph, for being with us.
Sure.
Thank
Glad
you
to
for
be.
watching, the few of you that actually did. And until next week, good night from BS.
That's it. now. Join us next time for more entertainment.